Rain pounded against Lena Harper's old car as she drove home from her night shift. Ahead was nothing but darkness and cold. She just wanted to get home safely. But then a small figure appeared by the roadside, a boy, no older than 10, shivering beneath a flickering billboard. Throwing open the car door, she rushed to him, bringing him home, offering food and warmth. Yet when she saw the crumpled photo he carried, a hidden truth began to surface, and when it slipped from his hands onto the cold floor, everything changed. Before we continue, tell us what time it is and where you're watching from, and subscribe because tomorrow I've got something extra special for you. The rain had been falling for hours, drumming against the windows of St. Clair Memorial Hospital like 1,000 impatient fingers. Inside the staff locker room, Lena Harper sat on the wooden bench, her scrubs still damp from the sweat of a 12-hour shift. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in a tired yellowish glow. She stared at her hands, strong hands, capable hands, hands that had changed bedpans and held the trembling fingers of dying patients. Her name tag read L. Harper RN in bold letters, but she knew that to some people in this building she was just the girl, or that one. Another day done, she thought. Another day of pretending not to notice. She stood slowly, her knees protesting. 27 wasn't supposed to feel this old, but nursing had a way of aging you from the inside out. She grabbed her jacket from the locker, a thick navy blue coat her brother had given her last Christmas, and headed toward the exit. "Night, Lena," called out Sandra, one of the older nurses. Sandra had kind eyes and gray hair she wore in a tight bun. "Night, Sandra. Drive safe." "You too, honey. Roads are bad tonight." Lena pushed through the heavy doors into the parking lot. The rain hit her immediately, cold and relentless. She ran to her car, a 12-year-old Honda Civic with a dent in the passenger door and a heater that only worked half the time. She climbed inside, shivering, and started the engine. The smell of hospital disinfectant still clung to her uniform blouse hanging in the back seat. She'd tried washing it 3 times, but that antiseptic smell never fully came out. It was like a mark, a reminder of where she spent most of her waking hours. "At least I'm making a difference," she told herself, though tonight she wasn't sure she believed it. She turned on the heater and rubbed her hands together, waiting for warmth that was slow to come. Through the rain-streaked windshield, the city lights of Riverton blurred into watercolor smears of yellow and red. "All right," she whispered to herself. "Let's go home." Lena drove slowly through the rain-soaked streets, her windshield wipers working overtime. The radio played softly, some old gospel song her mother used to hum. She turned down Riverside Avenue, a route she took most nights because it was quiet and she could think. The street lights reflected off the puddles, creating pools of shimmering light. Most people were inside, safe and warm. The shops were closed, their windows dark. It was the kind of night where the world felt smaller, more lonesome. As she rounded the bend near the old riverfront warehouses, her headlights caught something. A small figure, huddled beneath a rusted billboard, advertising a furniture store that had closed years ago. Lena's heart jumped. She slowed the car, squinting through the rain. Is that a child? A little boy soaking wet, arms wrapped around himself, shaking. She didn't think. She just acted. Lena pulled over sharply, threw the car into park, and jumped out into the rain. Her shoes splashed through a puddle as she ran toward him. "Hey, honey, are you okay?" she called out, her voice nearly lost in the downpour. The boy looked up, startled. His eyes were wide with fear, big brown eyes that seemed too old for his small face. He couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. His clothes were drenched, his hair plastered to his forehead. Lena stopped a few feet away, not wanting to scare him more. She crouched down, trying to make herself less imposing. "I'm not going to hurt you, sweetheart. I promise. Look." She reached into her pocket and pulled out her hospital ID badge, holding it up so he could see her photo and the words "registered nurse." "I work at the hospital. I help people. That's all I want to do, help you." The boy stared at the badge, then at her face. His lips were trembling, whether from cold or fear she couldn't tell. "What's your name?" she asked gently. He didn't answer right away. The rain poured down between them. Finally, in a voice barely louder than a whisper, he said, "Noah." "Noah, that's a good name." Lena smiled, trying to put warmth into her expression despite the cold. I'm Lena. Can you tell me what you're doing out here, Noah? Where are your parents? He shook his head quickly, clutching something against his chest. She couldn't see what it was. Are you hurt? Another shake of the head. Are you scared? A pause, then slowly, a nod. Lena's heart broke a little. This poor baby. Okay, listen to me, Noah. I have a warm car right over there, and I have a blanket in the back. How about you come sit inside for a minute, just to get warm? You don't have to go anywhere you don't want to. We'll just get you out of this rain. Is that okay? Noah looked at her for a long moment. She could see him weighing his options, trust this stranger or stay here in the cold. Finally, he gave a tiny nod. Okay, Lena said softly. Come on, honey, let's get you warm. She stood and held out her hand. After a moment's hesitation, Noah took it. His hand was freezing, small and fragile in hers. She led him quickly to the car and opened the passenger door, helping him inside. She grabbed an old fleece blanket from the back seat, slightly worn but clean, and wrapped it around his shoulders. Then she cranked the heater up as high as it would go. Noah sat there, shivering, the blanket pulled tight around him. Lena climbed into the driver's seat, rain dripping from her hair. Better? She asked. He nodded, but he still looked terrified. What happened to you, baby? She wondered. Who left you out here alone? Are you hungry? She asked. Another nod. Okay, I'm going to take you to my place. It's not far. I'll get you something to eat, and some dry clothes, and then we'll figure out how to find your family. Does that sound all right? Noah looked at her, studying her face. She could see him trying to decide if he could trust her. I promise, Lena said quietly. I'm one of the good ones. Finally, he whispered, okay. As she put the car in drive, Lena glanced at him in the passenger seat. He was still clutching something against his chest under the blanket, something he clearly didn't want to let go of. One step at a time, she told herself. First, get him warm, then get him fed, then we'll talk. The rain drummed on the roof as they drove through the empty streets. Inside the car, it was quiet except for the hum of the heater. Lena kept glancing over at Noah, making sure he was okay. He stared straight ahead, his face pale and drawn, but his shivering was starting to ease. Please God, Lena thought, let me help this child. Lena's apartment was small but tidy, a one-bedroom on the second floor of an old building in a modest part of town. The walls were painted a soft cream color, and she'd hung a few pictures, her family at a barbecue, a sunset over the river, a Bible verse in a wooden frame. She led Noah inside, locking the door behind them. The warmth of the apartment wrapped around them immediately, a sharp contrast to the cold outside. Okay, honey, Lena said, kneeling down to Noah's level. First things first, you need to get out of those wet clothes. I have some old pajamas from my little brother. He stays here sometimes. They might be a bit big, but they're warm and dry. Sound good? Noah nodded. Lena went to her dresser and pulled out a pair of soft cotton pajamas, blue with little stars on them. She handed them to Noah, along with a towel. The bathroom's right through that door. You can take a warm shower if you want, or just change. Whatever makes you comfortable. I'll be right out here making you something to eat. Okay? Okay, Noah whispered. He disappeared into the bathroom, and Lena heard the door lock. She let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Thank you, Jesus, she thought. Now let's get this baby fed. She went to the kitchen and started pulling out ingredients. She didn't have much, but she had chicken broth, some leftover rotisserie chicken, carrots, celery, and egg noodles, chicken soup, simple warm filling. As she chopped the vegetables, her mind raced. Who is this child? Why was he out there alone? Should I call the police? But something in her gut told her to wait, to hear his story first. Kids didn't run away for no reason, and if he was running from something bad, the last thing she wanted was to scare him off before she could help. 15 minutes later, Noah emerged from the bathroom. The pajamas hung loose on his thin frame, the sleeves covering his hands, the pants pooling around his feet. His hair was still damp, but no longer dripping. He looked younger somehow, more vulnerable. Feel better? Lena asked with a gentle smile. He nodded. Good, come sit at the table. Soup's almost ready. Noah climbed onto one of the kitchen chairs, his feet dangling above the floor. Lena ladled the hot soup into a bowl and placed it in front of him, along with some crackers and a glass of water. Careful, it's hot. Blow on it first. Noah picked up the spoon and took a tentative sip, then another. Then he started eating more quickly, hungrily. Lena sat down across from him with her own small bowl, though she wasn't really hungry. She just wanted him to feel less alone. "This is good," Noah said quietly. "Thank you, baby. My mama taught me how to make it." They ate in silence for a few minutes. The rain continued to patter against the window, but inside, the apartment felt like a cocoon, safe, warm, separate from the harsh world outside. When Noah had finished his bowl, Lena asked, "Do you want more?" He shook his head. "Okay," she paused, choosing her words carefully. "Noah, I need to ask you some questions. I'm not trying to get you in trouble or make you do anything you don't want to do. I just want to help. Can we talk?" Noah looked down at his empty bowl, then slowly nodded. "Thank you." Lena took a breath. "Can you tell me why you were out in the rain tonight?" Noah was quiet for a long moment, then in a small voice he said, "I was looking for my dad." Lena's heart squeezed. "Where is your dad, honey?" Noah reached into the pocket of his wet jeans, which Lena had draped over a chair to dry. He pulled out something, a photograph, crumpled and water-stained but still intact. He laid it on the table between them. Lena leaned forward, studying the photograph under the soft kitchen light. It was a picture torn from a magazine or newspaper. She could see the glossy sheen and the way the edges were rough, like it had been ripped out carefully. The image showed the front entrance of St. Clair Memorial Hospital, the same hospital where she worked. In the bottom corner, in wobbly pencil handwriting, were the words, "I will come here to find Dad." Lena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the rain outside. "Your dad, he works at the hospital?" she asked gently. Noah nodded, his eyes fixed on the photograph like it was a treasure map. "He's a doctor, he does surgeries. He said he'd come home after his shift, but..." His voice cracked. "It's been 3 days. 3 days." The words hung in the air like a weight. Lena's mind started racing. A surgeon who hadn't come home in 3 days. That could mean anything: an emergency, a long surgery, a family emergency of his own, or something worse. But she pushed those thoughts aside. Right now, she needed to focus on the little boy in front of her. "What's your dad's name, Noah?" The boy looked up at her, his brown eyes shimmering with tears he was trying not to shed. "Dr. Adrian Westbrook." Lena's breath caught. Adrian Westbrook. She knew that name. Everyone at St. Clair knew that name, even if they'd never met him. Dr. Adrian Westbrook was a legend in the surgical wing, a brilliant cardiovascular surgeon who'd been featured in medical journals, who developed new techniques, who saved lives that other doctors had given up on. But he was also a ghost. Lena had been working at St. Clair for 3 years, and she'd never once seen him. He didn't come to staff meetings, didn't eat in the cafeteria, didn't socialize. He came in, did his surgeries, and disappeared. Some of the older nurses said he'd been different once, more engaged, but something had changed him. They whispered about a divorce, about a custody battle, but no one knew the details. And now here was his son, sitting in her kitchen, eating soup because he'd been alone in the rain, looking for his father. Lena felt a surge of anger, at Dr. Westbrook, at whatever circumstances had led to this, at a world where a child could be so lost. But she tamped it down. Anger wouldn't help Noah right now. "Okay," she said softly. "I know who your dad is. I work at the same hospital." Noah's face lit up with hope, the first real emotion she'd seen from him, besides fear. "You do? Do you know where he is?" "I don't, honey. I've never actually met him, but I can help you find him. Tomorrow morning, I'll take you to the hospital, and we'll look for him together. I promise." The hope in Noah's eyes dimmed slightly, but he nodded. "Okay." Lena reached across the table and gently squeezed his hand. "In the meantime, you're safe here. You can sleep in my room tonight. I'll take the couch. And when you wake up, we'll have breakfast, and then we'll go find your dad. Does that sound all right?" "Yes, ma'am. You don't have to call me ma'am, sweetie. Just Lena is fine." A tiny smile flickered across Noah's face. "Okay." Lena, after cleaning up the dishes, Lena set Noah up in her bedroom. She changed the sheets, gave him an extra blanket, and made sure the lamp on the nightstand was within reach. "If you need anything, anything at all, I'm right outside that door. You just call for me, okay?" "Okay." But as Lena turned to leave, Noah's small voice stopped her. "Lena, yeah honey. Why did you stop?" "When you saw me in the rain." Lena turned back to face him. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, the blanket wrapped around his shoulders, looking at her with those old tired eyes. She came back and sat down beside him, thinking about how to answer. "Because," she said finally, "when I see someone who needs help, I can't just drive by. That's not who I am, and more importantly, that's not who I want to be." "But I'm a stranger," Noah said. "My mom always said don't talk to strangers." "Your mom's right, that's a good rule most of the time. But here's the thing, Noah, strangers are just people we haven't met yet. And sometimes, when someone's in trouble, the rules have to bend a little. Sometimes kindness is more important than being cautious." Noah thought about this. "My dad used to say that too. He said that's why he became a doctor, to help people, even when it's hard." "Your dad sounds like a good man." "He is." Noah's voice was fierce, defensive. "He is a good man, he works a lot, and sometimes he forgets things. But he loves me, I know he does." Lena heard the uncertainty beneath the words, the fear that maybe his dad had forgotten him. "I'm sure he does love you, Noah. Very much, and I bet he's worried sick about you right now." "Then why hasn't he come to find me?" It was the question Lena had been dreading. She didn't have a good answer. "I don't know, baby, but we're going to find out tomorrow, I promise." Noah nodded slowly, then lay down and pulled the covers up to his chin. His eyes were already drooping with exhaustion. "Lena, yes, thank you, for stopping, for the soup, for everything." Lena felt tears prick at her eyes. "You're welcome, sweetheart. Now get some sleep. Tomorrow's a new day." She turned off the lamp and slipped out of the room, leaving the door slightly ajar. Then she went to the couch, grabbed a spare blanket, and tried to settle in for the night. But sleep wouldn't come. She kept thinking about Noah's face, about the photograph clutched in his small hands, about Dr. Adrian Westbrook, this absent father who was somewhere in the same building where she worked every day, maybe not even knowing his son was out there looking for him. "What kind of man are you?" she wondered. "What kind of father?" But even as she thought it, she remembered what Noah had said. "He is a good man, he loves me." Children knew things adults tried to hide. If Noah believed in his father, then maybe there was more to the story. Lena stared at the ceiling, listening to the rain, and prayed that tomorrow she'd be able to reunite a father and son, and that when she did, Dr. Westbrook would prove himself worthy of the faith his little boy had in him. Lena woke to weak sunlight, filtering through the curtains. The rain had stopped sometime in the night, leaving everything washed clean and quiet. She sat up on the couch, her neck stiff from the awkward sleeping position, and checked her phone. 6:47 a.m. She stood quietly and padded to the bedroom door, peeking inside. Noah was still asleep, curled up on his side, one hand under his cheek. He looked peaceful, younger, the worry lines smoothed from his face. Lena felt a fierce protectiveness surge through her. "I will find your father," she promised silently. "And if he's hurt you, if he's neglected you, so help me God." But she stopped that thought. No point in jumping to conclusions. She closed the door quietly and went to make breakfast. Nothing fancy, scrambled eggs, toast and orange juice, but it was warm and filling. By the time Noah emerged from the bedroom, rubbing his eyes, and still wearing the oversized pajamas, the table was set. "Morning, honey. Sleep okay?" He nodded. "Better than I have in a while." They ate together in comfortable silence. Noah seemed calmer today, less frightened. He even managed a small smile when Lena joked about how the pajamas made him look like he was swimming in fabric. After breakfast, Lena helped Noah get back into his now dry clothes, jeans, a t-shirt, and a thin jacket that wasn't nearly warm enough for the weather. She made a mental note to find him something warmer before they left. "All right," she said, pulling on her own coat. "We're going to go to the hospital now. Are you ready?" Noah clutched the photograph in his hand and nodded. "I'm ready." But as they headed for the door, Lena noticed something in his expression, a flicker of fear. "What is it, Noah?" He hesitated. What if my dad doesn't want to see me? Lena's heart broke. She knelt down so they were eye level. Listen to me, your dad wants to see you. I don't know what's happened, or why he hasn't been home, but I know, that no father who truly loves his son would ever not want to see him. Sometimes life gets complicated. Sometimes adults make mistakes, but that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. Understand? Noah nodded, but she could see he wasn't entirely convinced. Come here. She pulled him into a hug. He stiffened at first, then relaxed, his thin arms wrapping around her. We're in this together, okay? Me and you, Team Noah. He let out a small laugh. Team Noah. That's right. Now let's go find your dad. The drive to the hospital felt longer than usual. The sky was overcast, threatening more rain, and the streets were still slick from the night before. Lena kept glancing at Noah in the passenger seat. He was staring out the window, the photograph clutched in his lap, his expression unreadable. You okay? She asked. Yeah, but his voice was tight. When they pulled into the hospital parking lot, Lena felt her own anxiety spike. She worked here, she knew these people. What would they think when she walked in with a child? Would they believe her story? Would they even care? It doesn't matter what they think, she told herself firmly. What matters is helping Noah. She parked the car, and they got out. The hospital loomed above them, a massive structure of glass and concrete, impersonal and cold. Noah looked up at it, his face pale. That's where my dad is, he whispered. That's right, let's go find him. They walked through the automatic doors into the main lobby. It was busy, people checking in, families waiting, staff rushing back and forth. The smell of antiseptic and coffee hit Lena immediately, familiar and oddly comforting. She led Noah to the reception desk, where a middle-aged woman with reading glasses perched on her nose was typing on a computer. Excuse me, Lena said politely. I'm Lena Harper, a nurse on the medical floor. I was hoping you could help me locate Dr. Adrian Westbrook. This is his son Noah. And the receptionist looked up, her eyes flicking from Lena to Noah, and back again. Her expression was neutral, professionally distant. Do you have an appointment with Dr. Westbrook? No, I don't have an appointment. This is his son. He's been looking for his father. The receptionist's expression didn't change. I'm sorry, but I can't give out information about staff members without prior authorization. Hospital policy. Lena felt a flutter of frustration. I understand, but this is a special circumstance. This child has been separated from his father for 3 days. Surely there's some way. Policy is policy, ma'am. If you'd like to file a formal request with HR, they're open from 9 to 5. It's not even 8 o'clock yet, Lena said, trying to keep her voice level. Can't you just page him, or at least tell us if he's in the building? The receptionist sighed, as if Lena were being unreasonable. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Noah tugged on Lena's sleeve. It's okay, he whispered. We can wait. But Lena wasn't about to give up. Look, I work here, I'm an employee. Surely that counts for something. If you're not on shift today, you're considered a visitor, the receptionist interrupted. And visitors aren't allowed in staff areas without authorization. Lena stared at her, disbelief and anger warring inside her. This was ridiculous. This was bureaucracy at its most heartless. Fine, she said quietly. We'll wait. But when Dr. Westbrook finds out his son has been here looking for him and no one helped, I have a feeling he's not going to be happy. The receptionist shrugged slightly and went back to her typing. Lena took Noah's hand and led him to the waiting area where rows of plastic chairs sat beneath flickering fluorescent lights. They sat down, and Noah leaned against her, suddenly looking very small and very tired. It's okay, honey, Lena said softly. We'll figure this out. But inside, she felt the first stirrings of real fear. What if we can't find him? What if no one will help us? She looked down at Noah's trusting face and made a silent vow she would not let this child down. No matter what it took. An hour passed. Then another. Lena had tried everything. She'd approached 3 different staff members, each time politely explaining the situation, each time being met with the same blank stares and bureaucratic deflections. You need to speak to administration. We can't give out that information. This isn't the right department. Noah sat beside her, growing quieter with each rejection. His hands twisted the photograph, wearing away the edges. At one point, a security guard, a heavy-set man with a graying mustache, approached them. "Ma'am, is there a problem?" Lena stood, her heart pounding. "No, officer. We're just waiting to see someone." "Who are you waiting for?" "Dr. Adrian Westbrook. This is his son." The guard looked at Noah, then back at Lena. His expression was skeptical. "Do you have custody paperwork? Proof of relationship?" "I know, I'm not his guardian. I found him last night. He was alone and, so you're not family." "No, but then I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises. Hospital policy doesn't allow non-family members to wait for staff in the lobby." Lena felt her face grow hot. "We're not causing any trouble. We're just sitting here." "I understand, ma'am, but rules are rules. If you don't have legitimate business here, you need to go." "This is legitimate business. This boy is looking for his father." The guard's expression hardened. "Ma'am, I'm asking you nicely, don't make this difficult." Lena looked around the lobby. People were starting to stare, other visitors, staff members passing through. She could see it in their eyes: suspicion, judgment, discomfort. A black woman with a child who didn't look like her, causing a scene. She felt something twist inside her chest, something old and familiar and painful. The same feeling she got when nurses asked to see her ID even though she wore her badge every day. The same feeling she got when patients asked if she was really qualified. "They don't see me as a nurse right now," she realized. "They see me as a problem." "Fine," she said quietly. "We'll go." She took Noah's hand and led him toward the exit. Behind them she heard the guard mutter something to the receptionist. She couldn't make out the words, but she heard the tone: relief, dismissal, good riddance. Outside, the sky had darkened again. Rain was coming. Lena stood on the sidewalk, her mind racing. Noah looked up at her, his eyes wide and frightened. "Are we leaving?" he asked. "No," Lena said firmly. "No, we're not giving up. There has to be another way in." She thought about the hospital's layout. She knew every floor, every department. If Dr. Westbrook was in surgery, he'd be in the surgical wing on the 4th floor. If he was in his office, it would be in the physician's corridor on the 3rd. "Come on," she said, leading Noah around the side of the building. There was a staff entrance near the loading dock. She'd used it 100 times when she was running late. It required a keycard, but sometimes people propped it open to bring in deliveries. They hurried through the drizzle, Noah's thin jacket already soaking through. When they reached the door, Lena's heart sank. It was closed, the electronic lock blinking red. "Damn it," she whispered. "What do we do now?" Noah asked, shivering. Lena's mind whirled. She could call someone, another nurse maybe, someone who might know where Westbrook was. But who? Most of her co-workers were friendly enough, but not close friends. And after what had just happened in the lobby, she wasn't sure anyone would stick their neck out for her. Just then, the door clicked open. A delivery driver stepped out, pushing an empty dolly. "Excuse me." Lena started, but the man barely glanced at them as he headed toward his truck. The door swung slowly shut. Without thinking, Lena lunged forward and caught it just before it latched. "Come on," she whispered to Noah. They slipped inside. The staff corridor was narrow and dimly lit, lined with pipes and electrical boxes. The walls were a dull beige, scuffed and marked from years of carts and equipment being wheeled through. It smelled like cleaning solution and old coffee. Lena led Noah quickly down the hallway, her heart hammering. If they got caught now, there'd be no talking their way out of it. She'd be fired, maybe even arrested for trespassing. But Noah needs his father, she thought. That's all that matters. They reached a set of stairs and climbed to the 3rd floor. Lena pushed open the door carefully and peeked out. The hallway was empty. It was still early enough that most of the administrative staff hadn't arrived yet. "Stay close," she whispered to Noah. They moved quickly down the corridor, passing offices with names on the doors. Dr. Patterson, Dr. Thompson, Dr. Johnson, and then, halfway down the hall, Dr. Adrian Westbrook, cardiovascular surgery. Lena's breath caught. "This is it." She knocked softly. No answer. She tried the handle. Locked. "He's not here," Noah said, his voice small and disappointed. "Maybe he's in surgery." Lena said, "Come on, let's check the surgical floor." But as they turned to leave, a voice rang out behind them. "Excuse me, what are you doing here?" Lena spun around. A woman stood at the end of the hallway, Martha Redding, the head nurse on the surgical floor. Martha was in her 50s, with steel-gray hair and a perpetually stern expression. She was known for running a tight ship, for not tolerating nonsense. And right now, she was looking at Lena like she was very much nonsense. "Martha, I'm looking for Dr. Westbrook," Lena stammered. "This is his son, and why are you on this floor? You don't work in this department." "I know, but and who is this child? Why have you brought him into a restricted area?" "He's Dr. Westbrook's son," Lena repeated, her voice rising slightly. "He's been missing for 3 days. We just need to find his father." Martha's expression didn't soften. "I don't know anything about Dr. Westbrook having a son. And even if he does, you can't just wander around the hospital with a child in tow. This is highly inappropriate. I tried going through the proper channels. No one would help us. Then perhaps you should have tried harder, or contacted the authorities." Martha crossed her arms. "Instead, you've broken into a secure area. Do you realize how serious that is?" Lena felt tears of frustration pricking at her eyes. "I'm trying to help this child. By breaking the rules. By potentially compromising patient privacy and hospital security." Martha shook her head. "Lena, I expected better from you." The words stung more than Lena wanted to admit. Noah tugged on her hand. "It's okay, Lena, we can go." But Lena wasn't ready to give up. "Please, Martha, just page Dr. Westbrook. Or tell us where he is. That's all I'm asking." Martha's lips thinned. "I can't do that. And now I need to ask you to leave before I'm forced to call security." "You're going to call security on a nurse trying to help a lost child. I'm going to call security on someone who broke hospital policy and is refusing to leave." For a long moment, they stared at each other. Lena could see no compassion in Martha's eyes, no understanding. Just cold adherence to rules. This is what it always comes down to. Lena thought bitterly. Rules over people. Policy over humanity. "Fine," she said quietly. "We're leaving." She took Noah's hand, and walked past Martha, her head held high, even as her heart broke. They made it back to the main lobby without being stopped, but as they approached the front doors, Noah suddenly stumbled. "Lena," he whispered. "I don't feel good." She looked down at him. His face was pale, his forehead glistening with sweat. "Noah, what's wrong?" "I'm dizzy. And it's hard to breathe." Panic shot through Lena. She knelt down, pressing her hand to his forehead. He was burning up. "How did I not notice?" she thought frantically. "He's been sick this whole time, and I didn't see it." "Okay, honey, it's okay. We're in a hospital. We're going to get you help." But even as she said it, she knew how it would go. She'd take him to the ER, and they'd ask for insurance, for a parent or guardian, for paperwork. They'd make him wait, they'd question why she had him. And all the while, he'd be getting sicker. Noah swayed on his feet. "I think I'm going to." And then he collapsed. "Noah," Lena caught him before he hit the floor, her nursing training kicking in immediately. She laid him down gently, checking his pulse, rapid and thready. His breathing was shallow. "Someone help," she shouted. "I need help here." People in the lobby turned to look, but no one moved. Lena looked up wildly. "Please, this child needs medical attention." The security guard from earlier approached, but kept his distance. "Ma'am, you need to take him to the emergency room. He can't wait, he needs help now." "I'm sorry, ma'am, but protocol, to hell with protocol." Lena screamed. "He's a child. He's sick. Someone do something." A few nurses had gathered near the entrance to the medical wing, watching. One of them, a young woman Lena recognized from orientation, took a step forward, then hesitated, and stepped back. "They're afraid," Lena realized with horror. "They're afraid of getting involved." Martha appeared from somewhere, her face a mask of cold disapproval. "Miss Harper, you need to take this child to the ER immediately, or I will have to call Child Protective Services. He needs a doctor now." Lena was crying now, her hands cradling Noah's burning face. "He's Dr. Westbrook's son. Why won't anyone listen to me?" "Because you have provided no proof of that claim," Martha said coldly. "For all we know, you could be anyone. You could have taken this child. We have protocols for a reason." Lena looked up at her, at all the faces staring down with suspicion and fear and indifference, and something inside her shattered. "You're supposed to help people," she said, her voice breaking. "You're nurses, you're doctors. This is a hospital. And you're going to let a child suffer because of paperwork?" No one answered. The rain outside had started again, pounding against the glass doors. Lena looked down at Noah, his small body so fragile, so vulnerable. She thought about last night, about finding him in the rain, about the trust in his eyes when he'd taken her hand. "I won't let them do this to you," she thought fiercely. "I won't." She scooped Noah up in her arms. He was so light, barely anything, and stood. Her legs shook, but she forced herself to move toward the doors. "Where are you going?" Martha called after her. "Away from here," Lena said without looking back. "Since you won't help us, I'll find someone who will. Harper, if you leave with that child, I will have no choice but to report this." "Then report it," Lena shouted over her shoulder. "At least I'll be able to sleep at night." She pushed through the doors into the rain. Behind her she heard Martha say quietly to someone, "She's making a terrible mistake." The rain soaked through Lena's clothes instantly, but she barely felt it. Noah's head lolled against her shoulder, his breath hot against her neck. She headed toward the parking lot, her vision blurred with tears and rain. "Please God," she prayed, "please help me save him." She didn't know where she was going. Maybe the ER at County General. Maybe just home where she'd call an ambulance. All she knew was she had to get Noah away from this place, away from these people who had forgotten what it meant to care. The photograph slipped from Noah's limp hand and fell to the wet pavement, the ink already starting to run. Lena didn't notice. She just kept walking, her arms aching, her heart breaking. Inside the hospital, Dr. Adrian Westbrook was just finishing a meeting in Conference Room B. It had been a long session, budget discussions, new equipment proposals, staffing concerns. He was exhausted, running on 3 hours of sleep and too much coffee. As the meeting adjourned, he gathered his papers and headed for the hallway, his mind already on the surgery scheduled for this afternoon. That's when he saw it. A photograph, lying on the floor near the main lobby entrance, water-stained, the corners curling. He almost walked past it. But something made him stop, made him bend down and pick it up. It was a picture of St. Clair Memorial's front entrance, and at the bottom, in handwriting he knew as well as his own, "I will come here to find Dad." Adrian's blood turned to ice. Noah, his hands started shaking. He looked at the date on the magazine page the photo had been torn from, last week's edition. Oh God, no. He'd been so consumed with work lately, with trying to save enough money to fight for custody, with proving to the courts that he was stable, responsible. He'd been staying late, taking extra shifts, sleeping in his office some nights just to avoid the commute. He'd called his ex-wife 3 days ago, to let her know he'd be busy and to tell Noah he loved him. She'd said fine, no problem. But what if something had happened? What if Noah had tried to come here to see him? Adrian looked up, his eyes scanning the lobby frantically. No sign of a small boy. But there, near the entrance, a security guard was talking to Martha, the head surgical nurse. They both looked agitated. He strode over quickly. "What's going on?" Martha turned, surprised. "Dr. Westbrook. There was a situation." "What kind of situation?" "One of our nurses, Lena Harper, brought a child into the hospital, claiming he was your son. She became very aggressive when we asked her to follow protocol and eventually left with the child. We were about to call the police." "My son." Adrian's voice was sharp. "A little boy, about 8 years old, brown hair." Martha blinked. "I didn't get a good look at him. But yes, I believe so." "Where did they go?" "She just left, maybe 2 minutes ago." "But Dr. Westbrook, I need to tell you that her behavior was highly inappropriate." But Adrian was already running. He burst through the front doors into the rain, his eyes scanning the parking lot desperately. There, a figure in blue scrubs, carrying something. No, not something. Someone. "Wait," he shouted. "Wait, please." Please. Lena heard the shout, but didn't stop. She'd heard enough from these people. Noah was getting heavier in her arms, his body limp, and she was afraid, so terribly afraid. "Please, you're looking for Adrian Westbrook." That made her pause. She turned slowly. A man was running toward her through the rain, tall, maybe 40, with dark hair plastered to his forehead and a white coat flapping behind him. His eyes were wild, desperate. "I'm Adrian Westbrook," he gasped as he reached her. "That's my son. Please." Lena's arms tightened around Noah protectively. "How do I know you're really his father? He has a birthmark on his left shoulder, shaped like a crescent moon. His favorite color is blue. He's terrified of thunder. He sleeps with a stuffed elephant named Mr. Trunk." Adrian's voice broke. "And I've been the worst father in the world because I've been so busy trying to win custody that I didn't even realize he was trying to find me." Lena stared at him. The anguish in his voice was real. The tears mixing with rain on his face were real. "He's sick," she said. "He has a high fever. He needs help. Let me see him." Carefully, Lena shifted Noah so Adrian could see his face. The moment he did, something in him crumbled. "Oh God. Noah, Moa buddy, can you hear me?" Noah's eyes fluttered open, his lips moved. "Dad, I'm here son. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I tried to find you," Noah whispered. "I looked everywhere. I know you did." Adrian looked at Lena, his eyes desperate. "Please, let me help him. I'm a doctor. I can." "I know who you are," Lena said quietly. She looked down at Noah, then back at Adrian. Then carefully, she transferred the boy into his father's arms. Adrian held his son, like he was the most precious thing in the world, his face pressed against Noah's hair. "We need to get him inside," Lena said. "Now." Adrian nodded, and started running back toward the hospital, Lena close behind. They burst through the doors, water streaming off them. Martha looked up, her eyes widening. "Dr. Westbrook, clear treatment room 3, Adrian ordered, his voice carrying the full weight of his authority. "Now, and page Dr. Morrison, tell him I need a pediatric consult immediately." "Sir, I now." Martha. She hurried off, and Adrian carried Noah through to the treatment wing, Lena following. They laid him on the bed, and Adrian immediately began examining him while Lena pulled up his vitals. BP is 90/60. Heart rate 130. Temp is 103.2. Start an IV, normal saline, wide open, and get me a full metabolic panel and a CBC. They worked together seamlessly, their hands moving with practiced efficiency. Lena had never worked with Dr. Westbrook before, but she fell into rhythm with him easily, anticipating his needs. Within minutes, Noah was hooked up to monitors, fluids running through his veins. His color was already improving slightly. Dr. Morrison, the pediatrician on call, arrived and did his own assessment. "Looks like a pretty severe viral infection. The fever's the main concern right now. We'll start him on antipyretics and monitor him closely. He'll need to be admitted for observation." Adrian nodded, never taking his eyes off Noah. "Whatever he needs, just make him better." "We will." Dr. Morrison glanced at Lena, then back at Adrian. "I'll get the paperwork started." After he left, there was a moment of silence. Noah had fallen into a restless sleep, his chest rising and falling beneath the hospital blanket. Adrian finally looked at Lena. Really looked at her. "You saved my son's life." Lena shook her head. "I just did what anyone would do." His voice was firm. "Not anyone. Most people would have driven past him in the rain. Most people would have given up when the hospital staff turned you away. But you didn't, you fought for him. A child you didn't even know." Lena felt tears burning again. He deserved someone to fight for him. Adrian's own eyes were wet. "I don't even know your name." "Lena Harper, I'm a nurse on the medical floor." "Lena," he said it like a prayer. "Thank you doesn't seem like enough." "It's enough," she said quietly. They stood there for a moment, two strangers brought together by a little boy and a rainy night. Then Adrian looked down at his son, his hand gently brushing the hair back from Noah's forehead. "I've been a fool," he said softly. "I thought if I worked hard enough, if I made enough money, if I proved I was stable and successful, I could win custody. I could give him a good life. But I was so focused on that, I forgot what he really needed. He needed me, and I wasn't there."
"You're here now," Lena said. "But for how long? When he wakes up, what do I tell him? That I'm sorry for abandoning him. That I'll try to do better." He shook his head. "Words are meaningless, then show him," Lena said simply. "Kids don't need perfect parents, they just need parents who show up, who keep trying, who love them even when they mess up." Adrian looked at her, something like wonder in his eyes. "You're very wise, Nurse Harper." "I'm really not, I'm just someone who thinks every child deserves to be loved." "Well," Adrian said, a small smile touching his lips for the first time, "my son is very lucky you thought that way." Before Lena could respond, the door opened. Martha stood there, her expression tight. "Dr. Westbrook, I need to speak with you." Privately, Adrian straightened, his professional mask sliding back into place. "Whatever you need to say, you can say in front of Nurse Harper." Martha's lips thinned. "Very well, there have been complaints about Miss Harper's conduct today. The security staff has filed a report, and several nurses have expressed concern about her bringing an unauthorized individual into the hospital and causing a disturbance." Lena felt her stomach drop.
Adrian's expression darkened. A disturbance. She was trying to help my son. She broke protocol multiple times. She entered restricted areas without authorization. She caused a scene in the lobby, and she left the premises with a minor child against our advice. Because no one would help her. Adrian's voice rose. "She came to this hospital, our hospital, the place where we're supposed to heal and help people, and she was turned away. My son was turned away, because of protocol, because of bureaucracy. Dr. Westbrook, I understand you're upset but upset." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I'm beyond upset, Martha. I'm appalled. My son was here, desperately looking for me, and our staff treated him and the woman trying to help him like criminals." Martha drew herself up. "We were following hospital policy, then the policy is wrong." Adrian's voice echoed through the room. Noah stirred but didn't wake. Adrian lowered his voice but the intensity remained. "Lena Harper showed more compassion in one night than this entire hospital showed in a single morning. She found a child in the rain and she helped him. No questions asked, no forms to fill out, no protocol to follow, just basic human decency. And when she brought him here to the one place that should have welcomed him, she was met with suspicion and hostility. We have rules for a reason, and those rules nearly cost me my son." Adrian's hands were shaking. "If Lena had given up, if she'd listened to you and gone away, Noah could have died on the street. Do you understand that? My son could have died because your precious protocol was more important than his life." Martha was pale now. "I was doing my job. Your job," Adrian said quietly, "is to care for people, all people, regardless of whether they have the right forms or the right insurance or the right color skin." Martha flinched. "Yes," Adrian said, seeing her reaction. "Let's address that, shall we? Because I don't think it's a coincidence that a black nurse was treated with more suspicion than a white one would have been. I don't think it's a coincidence that when she asked for help people assumed she was lying rather than in genuine need. That's not I didn't." Martha stammered. "Didn't you?" Adrian looked at her steadily. "Search your heart, Martha, and tell me honestly that race had nothing to do with how you treated Lena and Noah today." Martha's mouth opened and closed. Finally she said, I'll file my report with HR. You do that, and I'll be filing one of my own." After Martha left, there was a long silence. "You didn't have to do that," Lena said quietly. "Defend me like that." "Yes," Adrian said. "I did, because you were right and they were wrong, and someone needed to say it." Lena wiped at her eyes. "Thank you, no thank you, for everything." Over the next few hours, word spread through the hospital about what had happened. Nurses whispered in break rooms, doctors exchanged glances in elevators, and slowly, inevitably, the story reached the administration. By evening, Lena was called to the HR office. She'd been expecting it, but her heart still pounded as she walked down the corridor. This was it. She was going to be fired, maybe worse. But when she thought about Noah, sleeping peacefully in his hospital bed with his father at his side, she couldn't regret anything. The HR director, Mrs. Paulson, was a stern woman in her 60s with steel-gray hair and reading glasses on a chain. "Miss Harper, sit down please." Lena sat, her hands clasped in her lap. Mrs. Paulson looked at her for a long moment, then she said, "I've reviewed the reports from today's incident. Yes, ma'am. You broke several hospital policies, you entered restricted areas without authorization, you caused a disruption in the lobby, you left the premises with a minor child who was not in your custody. Lena nodded. Yes, ma'am, I did all of those things. Can you explain why? Lena met her eyes steadily, because a child needed help and no one else was helping him. There are procedures for these situations. I tried the procedures, Lena said, her voice quiet but firm. I went to reception, I asked for help, I followed the rules, and every single time I was turned away, so I stopped following the rules and started following my conscience. Mrs. Paulson was silent for a moment. Then she said, Dr. Westbrook has also filed a report. He's quite adamant in your defense. He's a good man. He's also technically your superior, which puts this situation in a difficult position. Lena's heart sank. I understand. If you need to terminate my employment, I'm not terminating your employment, Miss Harper. Lena blinked. You're not. No, but there will be consequences. Mrs. Paulson removed her glasses, cleaning them on her sleeve. Martha Redding has been placed on administrative leave pending a full review of her conduct. Several other staff members are being questioned about their response to the situation, and the hospital board has ordered a complete overhaul of our visitor and emergency response protocols. Lena's eyes widened. What? Dr. Westbrook is not only a surgeon here, Miss Harper. He's also the largest donor to this hospital. His family foundation provides nearly 30% of our annual funding. When he threatens to pull that support unless we address the systemic issues that led to his son being turned away, she put her glasses back on. Well, the board listens. I didn't know that. Few people do. Dr. Westbrook prefers to keep his personal life private. Mrs. Paulson leaned forward. But here's what you need to understand. What you did today was both reckless and necessary. You broke rules that needed to be broken. You exposed failures in our system that needed to be exposed. And while I cannot officially condone your actions, I can tell you that many of us in this building are grateful for them. Lena felt tears threatening again. Thank you. However, Miss Paulson continued, you will be required to complete additional training on hospital protocols and procedures, and you'll be formally reprimanded for the unauthorized access violations. I understand. Good. Mrs. Paulson's expression softened slightly. Off the record, Miss Harper. You did the right thing. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Noah stayed in the hospital for 3 days. During that time, Adrian never left his side. Lena visited every day after her shifts. She'd sit with Noah reading him stories or just talking. The boy's spirit was returning, his smile coming more easily, and slowly father and son were rebuilding what had been broken. On the 3rd day, as Lena was getting ready to leave, Adrian stopped her. Can we talk privately? They stepped into the hallway while Noah napped. First, Adrian said, I owe you an apology, a real one, not just a thank you. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. I owe you an explanation at least. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that made him look younger, more vulnerable. Noah's mother and I divorced 2 years ago. It was messy. She got primary custody because I was working too much, not present enough. And she was right. I wasn't there. I was always at the hospital, always chasing the next surgery, the next achievement. He paused, his jaw tight. After the divorce, I tried to do better. I fought for joint custody, but my ex, she made it difficult. She'd cancel my visitation weekends, claim I was unstable, use every trick in the book. So I thought if I could just prove myself, just show the courts I was successful and stable, I could win. But in trying to prove I was a good father, I stopped actually being one. You didn't know Noah was coming to find you, Lena said gently. But I should have. I should have made sure he knew how to reach me. I should have called him every day. I should have. He shook his head. I failed him, Lena. And if it weren't for you, I might have lost him forever. But you didn't. He's right here and he's getting better, and you have a chance to make things right. Adrian looked at her with an intensity that made her breath catch. How are you so good, so kind, after the way this hospital treated you? I'm not that special, Lena interrupted. I just try to see people, really see them, not their race or their background or their mistakes, just them. That's exactly what makes you special. They stood there in the quiet hallway, the afternoon sun streaming through the windows. What happens now? Lena asked. With Noah, his mother is on her way. We'll have to work something out. Joint custody at minimum. But this time I'm going to do it right. No more putting work first, no more broken promises. He smiled sadly. I'm going to be the father Noah deserves. He already knows you are, Lena said. He never stopped believing in you. He should have, maybe. But that's the thing about kids, they love us even when we don't deserve it. That's why we have to earn that love every single day. Adrian nodded slowly. You're right. You're absolutely right. A week later, Lena was called to the hospital administrator's office. She went nervously, unsure what to expect. But when she arrived, it wasn't just the administrator waiting. It was Adrian, Mrs. Paulson, and several members of the hospital board. Please, sit, the administrator, Dr. Chen, said with a warm smile. Lena sat, her hands folded in her lap. Miss Harper, Dr. Chen began. The past week has been illuminating for this institution. Dr. Westbrook's report, combined with your actions, have forced us to confront some uncomfortable truths about how we operate. Lena nodded, not sure where this was going. We've always prided ourselves on our clinical excellence, Dr. Chen continued. Our surgical outcomes, our research, our facilities, but we've neglected something fundamental: compassion, basic human compassion. One of the board members, an older woman with kind eyes, spoke up. What happened to you and young Noah should never have happened. The barriers you faced, the treatment you received, it was inexcusable, and it's forced us to ask some hard questions about our culture, our protocols, and our values. We're making changes, Dr. Chen said, starting with the creation of a new position, Community Outreach and Humanitarian Care Coordinator. Lena blinked. I'm sorry, what? Adrian leaned forward, a smile playing at his lips. It's a position designed to bridge the gap between clinical care and community need. Someone who can advocate for patients who fall through the cracks, who can cut through bureaucracy when human need demands it, who can ensure that what happened to Noah never happens again. That sounds important, Lena said carefully. It is, Dr. Chen agreed, which is why we'd like to offer the position to you. Lena's mouth fell open. To me? You've demonstrated exactly the kind of thinking we need. Compassion paired with action, rules tempered by humanity, and a willingness to stand up for what's right, even at personal cost. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Adrian said quietly. Please, Noah and I, we want to help create something good out of what happened. A foundation maybe to support this work, but we need someone to lead it, someone who understands what it means to truly care. Lena looked at all the faces watching her, hopeful, expectant, sincere. Yes, she said, her voice stronger than she felt. Yes, I'll do it. The room erupted in smiles and handshakes. There's one more thing, Adrian said. He handed her a folder. This is the preliminary plan for what we're calling the Noah Foundation. It will provide support for children in crisis, emergency assistance for families in need, and training for hospital staff on compassionate care. Lena opened the folder, her eyes scanning the pages. It was comprehensive, thoughtful, ambitious. This is incredible, she whispered. It's a start, Adrian said. A way to honor what you did for my son, and to make sure other kids like Noah have someone looking out for them. Other kids like Noah, Lena repeated. Then she looked up, meeting Adrian's eyes. And other nurses like me. He held her gaze, especially other nurses like you. 1 month later, St. Clair Memorial Hospital held a press conference to announce the Noah Foundation and the new position of Community Outreach and Humanitarian Care Coordinator. The hospital atrium had been decorated with balloons and banners. Local news crews set up cameras. Hospital staff and community members filled the chairs. Lena stood backstage, her heart pounding. She wasn't used to this kind of attention. She was a nurse, someone who worked behind the scenes, caring for patients quietly, but today she had to speak. Noah found her, dressed in a little suit his father had bought for the occasion. He looked healthier now, his cheeks full of color, his eyes bright. Are you nervous? He asked. Terrified, Lena admitted. Don't be, you'll be great, he grinned. Besides, you saved my life. Talking to some people is easy compared to that. Lena laughed despite her nerves. When did you get so wise? I learned from the best. He held up the photograph, the one from that rainy night, now laminated and pressed flat. The words at the bottom were still visible. I will come here to find Dad. You kept it, Lena said softly. Of course, it brought me to you, and you brought me to my dad. He smiled.
It's like a treasure map. It got me lost for a little bit, but it ended up taking me exactly where I needed to be. Lena felt tears sting her eyes. You're going to make me cry before I even get out there. Sorry, but he didn't look sorry at all. Adrian appeared, looking sharp in a dark suit. They're ready for us. The three of them walked out onto the stage together. The applause was immediate and warm. Lena could see familiar faces in the crowd. Sandra, some of the other nurses, even Mrs. Paulson. Dr. Chen spoke first, talking about the hospital's commitment to compassionate care. Then Adrian took the microphone. 4 weeks ago he began, my son was lost, not just physically lost, but lost in a system that had forgotten how to see him. How to see past protocols and paperwork, to the scared little boy who just wanted his father. His voice was steady but filled with emotion. And then a nurse named Lena Harper found him. Not because it was her job, not because there was any benefit to her, but because when she saw a child in need, she couldn't look away. She stopped, she helped, she fought. And in doing so she saved not just my son's life, but reminded all of us what it means to truly care. The applause swelled. Lena felt her cheeks heat with embarrassment and pride. The Noah Foundation, Adrian continued, is our attempt to institutionalize that compassion. To make sure that every child, every family, every person who comes through our doors is treated with the dignity and humanity they deserve. And I can't think of anyone better to lead this work than Nurse Lena Harper. He turned to her, gesturing for her to come to the microphone. Lena stepped forward, her legs shaky. She looked out at the crowd, at all those faces watching her. You can do this, she told herself. Just speak from the heart. Thank you, Dr. Westbrook, she began. And thank you all for being here today. When I found Noah that night in the rain, I didn't think about what I was doing. I just knew a child needed help, and that's all any of us should need to know, that someone needs help. She paused, gathering her thoughts. But what happened next showed me something important. It showed me that compassion isn't just an individual act. It has to be built into our systems, our institutions, our culture. We can't rely on people like me happening to drive by at the right time. We need to create a world where every Noah is seen, every cry for help is heard, every person in need is met with open arms instead of closed doors. The crowd was silent now, listening. The Noah Foundation is a step toward that world, a world where kindness isn't the exception but the rule, where bureaucracy serves humanity instead of hindering it, where every person, no matter their race, their background, their circumstances, is treated with the respect and care they deserve. She looked at Noah, sitting in the front row next to his father. Noah, you taught me something important that night. You taught me that hope is stronger than fear, that trust is a gift we give even when we're scared, and that sometimes the people who seem lost are actually leading us exactly where we need to go. Noah beamed at her, holding up the photograph. This picture, Lena said, pointing to it, represents a journey. Noah's journey to find his father, my journey to remember why I became a nurse, and this hospital's journey toward becoming not just a place of medical excellence, but a place of human compassion. She took a breath. So today, as we launch the Noah Foundation, I want to make a promise. I promise to fight for every person who falls through the cracks, to advocate for every family in crisis, to ensure that when someone comes to us in their darkest hour, they're met with light, not judgment, not bureaucracy, just pure unconditional human kindness. The applause started slowly, then built to a crescendo. People stood, clapping, some wiping tears from their eyes. Lena stepped back from the microphone, overwhelmed. Adrian put a hand on her shoulder, squeezing gently. Noah ran up onto the stage and hugged her waist, and in that moment, surrounded by hope and possibility, Lena knew that the rainy night that had started this all had been more than just chance. It had been fate. 3 months later, Lena sat in her new office, a small but comfortable space on the second floor with a window overlooking the hospital garden. Her desk was already cluttered with case files, grant applications, and thank you cards from families the foundation had helped. There was a knock on the door. "Come in," she called. Adrian entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might need this. You've been at it since 6 this morning. How did you know? I got here at 5:30 for pre-op rounds and saw your light on." He handed her a cup. You need to take breaks, you know, says the man who sleeps in his office. Not anymore, he said with a smile. I made a promise to my son. No more overnight stays unless it's an absolute emergency, and even then he has my personal cell, my pager, and permission to call reception and have me paged overhead if he needs me. Lena smiled. How's he doing? Good. Really good. We have a custody arrangement now. 50-50 split with his mother. It's not perfect, but we're making it work, and he's in therapy, processing everything that happened. He asks about you constantly. I miss him too. He wants to know if you'll come to his birthday party next month. It's going to be small, just family and a few friends, but he'd really like you to be there. I'd be honored. Adrian sat down in the chair across from her desk. How's the work going? I know it's a lot. It is, Lena admitted, but it's good. We've already helped 23 families in the past 3 months. Kids who needed medical care but didn't have insurance. Families facing housing crises. People who just needed someone to listen. It's exhausting but it matters, Adrian finished. Yeah, it matters. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping their coffee. Lena, Adrian said finally. I know I've said this before but I need to say it again. Thank you, not just for saving Noah, but for saving me too. You reminded me what it means to be human, to be present, to see people, really see them, and that's a gift I can never repay. You don't need to repay it, just pay it forward. I'm trying, we're trying. He gestured around the office. This foundation, your work, it's changing this place. I can feel it. People are more aware, more compassionate. It's like you planted a seed, and it's starting to grow. It's not just me, Lena said. It's everyone who's choosing to care. Everyone who's taking that extra moment to see the person in front of them as a human being, worthy of dignity and respect. Still, you started it. Lena shook her head, smiling. No, Noah started it. That little boy who refused to give up, who held on to hope even when he was scared and alone. He's the real hero of this story. Maybe, Adrian conceded. But you're a close second. Before Lena could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. A text from reception. I've got a walk-in, she said, standing. A mother with 2 kids just lost their housing. They need help. Adrian stood too. Go, do what you do best. As she headed for the door, he called after her. Lena. She turned. I'm proud to call you a colleague. And a friend. She smiled, warmth blooming in her chest. Me too, Adrian. Me too. 6 months after the Noah Foundation launched, on a rainy evening that felt eerily similar to the night everything began, Lena was driving home from the hospital. She passed the old riverfront warehouses, the rusted billboards still standing like a sentinel. And for a moment she pulled over, letting the rain drum on her roof, remembering. She thought about Noah, huddled and scared, clutching that photograph. She thought about her own fear, her anger, her determination. She thought about Adrian, broken and desperate, running through the rain to find his son. And she thought about how one small act of kindness, one decision to stop instead of driving past, had rippled out into something so much bigger than she ever could have imagined. Her phone lit up with a photo text from Adrian. It was Noah, grinning at the camera, holding a certificate from his school. Most compassionate student. The text read, he wanted you to see this, says he learned it from the best. Lena smiled through tears, typing back, tell him I'm proud of him. And that compassion is contagious. Keep spreading it. As she put the car back in drive and pulled onto the road, the rain began to ease. Through the clouds, the faintest hint of sunset broke through, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Thank you, Lena thought, not sure if she was praying or just acknowledging the universe. Thank you for that night, for Noah, for the chance to make a difference. And as she drove toward home, toward whatever tomorrow would bring, she knew one thing with absolute certainty. She would never drive past someone in need again. Because kindness wasn't just an act, it was a promise, and it was one she intended to keep.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.